Okay, thanks for joining us. And as always, I want to remind everybody that if you do have us on speakerphone, that's great. You can go ahead and continue to ask any questions you have. Just remember, if you mute us to keep us from overhearing anything in your office or to hear us from getting feedback from your phone, please remember to unmute yourself before you ask a question. Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you. With that in mind, we're going to go through Aloha Workshop Series. We're going to talk a little bit here about Aloha 12.3 enhancements. If you go out to the front of your terminal, you will be able to tap on the screen and you will be able to see once the screensaver clears at the bottom that will show you what version of Aloha you were on. 12.3, the most common version out there for us is 12.3.38. And I'm not going to get too much detail into that. What that just means is that we have a version called 12.3, and we continue to release updates, enhancements to that version, little tweaks to things, and other little versions. So which version and specific version you're on past that decimal point is not really important. It will be determined by things like what is your credit card processor and which additional Aloha features you are running that determine which is the best version for you to be on in your particular establishment. So why 12.3? What that is that is the most widely distributed version of Aloha. In the near recent past, the previous version to that was a pretty big jump numbering wise, but there's still only one version apart, and that was Aloha 6.7. So in the last year, that previous version 6.7 became obsolete. It was no longer being supported, so we have taken time to go through and upgrade people to 12.3, and have finally gotten everybody, unless they have a compelling reason to remain off that update schedule, moved up to 12.3. So with that, we just want to touch base on a few changes, some of the things. And when I say a few changes, the reason I'm going to touch base on only a few of those changes is the list of changes that is in there is pretty substantive. They are constantly adding features and changing things and adding highlights. So I'm just going to pull some things out of this list and look at some features that have been around for quite a while and were most requested enhancements. Specifically here, when I'm looking at enhancements, these are the ones that add new features or significant improvements in how something works. This is not just addressing basic things like bug fixes or corrections, spelling errors, anything like that that you may have seen that was a minor detail. These are things that actually make an improvement in the quality of life in the staff in your restaurant and for you as well as an owner and operator. So looking at the ones that first of all apply to both of these establishments, both our table service and quick service. And when we say quick service, we're usually referring to environments where there is counter service order and sales. So if you think of your typical fast food restaurant, that is a quick service environment. That also applies to a lot of independently owned pizzerias, as well as some independent sandwich shops and smaller things like that. Table service is your typical dining experience. So when we say table service, we're looking at an establishment where you go in, give your order to a waiter or waitress at your table side, and then oftentimes pay the wait staff, but it also applies to cashier environments where you get up after the waitress brings you your check and pay with a cashier. So on that side, one of the things that was commonly requested is placing same-day restrictions on gift cards. The reason this is important is twofold. A lot of restaurants often hold contests during the shift to entice their servers to sell more gift cards. Sometimes servers are capable of selling multiple gift cards to themselves and then using those gift cards to pay for the checks they receive as cash payments on the same day. So they artificially inflate their numbers. They're not actually doing what you asked of driving sales and selling gift cards. So this places a restriction on it that makes sure that they have to do that on a following day. Additionally, sometimes servers could, as a means of theft, swap out gift cards. So the customer may not know what the balance is on a gift card. They give it to the server. The server goes ahead and uses holds onto that gift card and gives it back to them, a blank one that they had previously handled in their pocket or one that actually was zeroed out and tells them you have no remaining balance. Meanwhile, they hold on for the full value of that gift card and use it somewhere else on a different check and pocket the difference there as well. So this was often requested. Additionally, a little bit of an environment where people will say to customers, you know, if you buy a certain product, then you get the gift card and you can come back and use it on a different day. Also, we have a change in the setting percentage service charges options. Previously, we had been able to enable minimum and maximum values percentage-wise, but not set dollar caps on those. So if you had a percentage set as the service charge on a really small bill, you were only charging, 10 cents. And that wasn't enough to cover what the service charge was actually intended. And conversely, if you had a very, very large, say, room service charge, then $1,000 delivery, paying $100 out on it is just too big. So now, even though it's only being a percentage, you can set minimum and maximum values for that service charge and how they're implemented. Configuring the Aloha front of house user interface and skins is the most visual change. This is the first substantial change in the appearance of Aloha to your staff out front that we've had in a very, very long time. Typically, when we do changes in the front of the house, those changes are not visible. Your staff doesn't know that anything is different. Mostly, those changes are only available in the back of the house, and the owners and managers realize that there's enhanced functionality. This time, you're going to notice that the entire UI up front changes and becomes flat. All the buttons remain where they were, and the functions of them is the same, but your staff will notice that there's a visual change in the appearance. So just be aware to answer those questions. Yes, there will be a slight appearance change. If you're already upgraded to 12.3, your staff is probably aware of that change already, and you can just reassure them that it was to bring them in line with other added-on products so that it blends in more seamlessly with things like takeout and delivery. We can now apply comps to our checks using barcodes. And this is also very handy for cashier environments. Oftentimes, restaurants with a cashier will also have retail or gift shop things around that they're already using bar scanners for to apply and ring in items. Now they can also just go ahead and put barcodes for popular comps and redemptive discounts there on the counter as well, so that they don't have to look them in, they don't have to type them. If somebody says, hey, I'm here with the local high school, you can just go ahead and scan that barcode and give them the discount that you're offering to them. We can also assign clock-in messages to multiple job codes and employees now. In the past, you were always able to assign clock-in messages, but you had to target each job code individually or an individual employee. Now you can assign from groups, and it behaves largely like the functioning for adding categories to items. You can go ahead and just drag them in and assign as many job codes as you'd like by moving them over to be selected. Using a category of eligible items to apply to a new price promotion. This is significant because previously when we set up new promotions, we had to assign the individual items you could apply that promotion to, which meant that there was a limit of 10. Now that we're using categories to assign those, the limit has been changed from 10 items to infinity items. Big jump. Supporting group combo promotions also allows you to break apart and auto reassemble products. The best way to visualize this is thinking of a place that sells donuts. So if you have a discount for a dozen donuts, it will continue to look at the groupings as you get up there, and when you get enough donuts applied, it will say, hey, that's a dozen, and it will reprice them, even if they were previously trying to be applied to say a coffee and a donut. So if you bought a coffee and a donut and had a discount on it, now you buy 11 more donuts, and the savings is more significant for buying a dozen donuts, so it will switch it over to that. Displaying split check detail on the back of house audit reports. Now we are allowed in our audit, which has always shown a wealth of information on Aloha, both to keep an eye on what your staff is up to and how they've been ringing things in, and also kind of tell you the story of what was going on in your establishment. But now we get to see, for instances where they have split the check, you can actually follow the detail backwards and see where the items were originally run in. We support punch edit acknowledgments from employees. This would be an instance where your staff has gone ahead and forgot to clock out or clocked out at the wrong time, and a manager has made an adjustment at the back of house to their punch out time. What this does is it lets them know the next time they clock in that there was an adjustment. So this is both here to protect employees from erroneous punches on the management side, but it's also there to protect management from having to go back and edit things after payroll was already issued. By heading off those things. So you get a chance here for your employee to say, hey, I know I left and I didn't punch out, and you took a good guess. 10 o'clock was a good guess on when I left because of when I was cut, but what that meant was I was in the back helping with a banquet, so I really didn't get out of here till 10:45. So you don't have to fix their payroll after it's already been issued or make changes on the following. They're going to catch that right away and let you know. We also have rules for enhancing credit card voucher signature rules in 12.3. This allows us to do those things that you see currently going on at fast food chains like McDonald's, where they do not have to sign a credit card if the amount is under, say, $10. We can change the button color for the included modifiers and modified codes. This is very useful in places that have indeterminate menu names. So for instance, if your menu is framed out where you have combo number 8, combo number 9, or burger number 1 and burger number 2, this allows your staff to see light up symbols on the modifiers showing that this modifier is included in that burger. So if I press burger number 2, I can see that that includes bacon and cheese and tomatoes. If I hit burger number 3, it shows me that that's got onions and mushrooms. That way your staff doesn't have to keep trying to look behind them at the board and see what it is that the customer's ordering, or can't remember if that item is included. It's also very helpful if you happen to be using pizza. A lot of specialty name pizzas. I know it's a meat lovers, but what meats were included in that exactly? Does anchovies count? That's a meat. So you can go ahead and have a visual reminder on the screen that lets your staff know which items were and were not included. Supporting alarms for the cash drawers when they're open for longer than a specified time threshold, and that's just exactly as it sounds. We want to go ahead and beep to remind your staff that they've left the drawer open. Lessens the chance of them walking away, even if they were just propping the drawer open for a second and they had a question while they were counting down their drawer. We don't want to leave that money unsecured, so this helps remind them to take possession of that money and go ahead and either walk away with the cash drawer if they need to go somewhere and count some things, or just go ahead and close it. We can also automatically adjust a comp as you add the items. Quite often this is used in a not necessarily ideal way, but commonly by managers who want to open a check because they're going to be gone for a little bit to run to the bank, or they're going to be occupied cooking online for a little bit, where they can create a check called employee discounts, and then as items are run onto that check, the employee in question would get their 50% off their meal or their 20% off their meal. This can also be for a table that maybe has a VIP discount on it, or is the owner, and you want to go ahead and apply the comp now, even though you don't know how long that owner is going to be sitting there with friends having meals. So you can apply the comp at the beginning, and then the items continue to get discounted as they're added to the check. Requiring a manager approval for cash tender type thresholds. This is to ensure timely cash drops and prevent you from having a large amount of cash on hand, especially useful during the holidays. So what we're looking at here is if they've got a very large cash tender, somebody pays with a $100 bill and you don't want to have a $100 bill up front near your checkout counter, it'll let a manager know that they have to swipe to approve taking the $100, and then the manager can go ahead and do a cash drop right then on the spot to go ahead and make sure that money makes it into the safe, and helps enforce that policy about cashiers only having 20s or smaller bills on hand. In the quick service environment specifically, some of those changes that we're going to take a look at here. Applying an order mode to a refunded check. So in the past, if you refunded an order for some reason, somebody came back later or on a different day, and you needed to issue a refund, it just issued it as a refund. Unfortunately, that didn't allow you to see the department that those were in, whether those be drive-through revenue sales or to-go carry-out sales that the orders were coming from. So you had no way to troubleshoot your refunds and see where the problems were. So now you can take a look and see which order mode, whether it be dine-in, carry-out, and so forth, those refunded things were, and that may help you narrow down that you have a problem with some staff training or other issues. Displaying only eligible promos on promo lookup function. So normally in a quick service environment, we don't list all of the different comps and promos that are available. And the reason is because in a food service establishment, especially doing delivery or takeout, there's quite a lot of coupons usually in circulation. This helps narrow it down. So rather than you bringing up a list and you may have to scroll up and down through those coupons and offers looking for the one that applies, this narrows it down. So for instance, if I'm a pizzeria and I have a promo going for pastas, once I've rung in a pasta and then I hit the promo button, it is only going to show me promos that apply to pastas. So it will not show me all of my pizza coupons that are out there in the world. Enhanced Order Review Panel just lets the assembler who's putting the orders together review the orders easier. There's been quite a few enhancements that I'm not going to go into here that are related to enhancing the review orders both through drive-thrus during busy times and slow times. So the person who is in the second window putting the order together can scroll backwards and forward a little easier through the orders. If you have a very slow time and you have one person, there's quite a few enhancements too that allow that individual person to see one order as they're assembling it while on a different portion of the screen taking that order and going ahead and putting that in, as well as highlighting to make sure that they're applying the payments to the correct order they're dealing with, and just to generally make ordering and multitasking more transparent for your drive-through situations. Support for EBT. If that's a big deal in your marketplace, you are well aware of EBT, also known as food stamps, or sometimes as assistance. Um, this allows for support of that through the Aloha system. We also allow order entry while the cash drawer is open, and we've already talked about the opposite of that, but this allows you to go ahead and be swapping out those drawers while you still have a cashier up there taking orders and getting things rung in. So in a very, very high volume environment, maybe we want to go the opposite route and make sure that we can just keep swapping that drawer out when we need to without interrupting their workflow. Adjusting the price of a modifier based on the modifier code. This is for enhancing add-ons. So if we already have pepperoni on an item and adding pepperoni to it would incur an additional charge. Rather than add a whole amount to the charge, we can say that adding extra means in practice we're not adding twice as much, we're only adding 50% as much. So therefore it would only charge for 50% of the cost of adding pepperoni to a whole item. So we've got some little more flexibility with making sure that your pricing reflects the practice. We can also prevent the repeat of a quick combo. So for instance, if I gave them my drink and my entree and my fries to make it a combo, in the past hitting repeat would repeat the fries since that was the last item added in. Now when we hit repeat, it's going to go ahead and repeat the entire combo. So that will repeat both the drink, the entree, and the fries for the second person. Automatically scrolling to the bottom of the check upon order. So once we send that to the kitchen, it's going to drop us down to the bottom so that we can see our subtotals and let them know how much that will be. Supporting modifiers to an ordered item prior to tendering. So even though we've gone ahead and sent that back to the kitchen to be made as soon as we got the order from them, they're still allowed to do modifiers. So this supports adding modifiers to it as long as there is an upcharge. So if there's going to be an increase in the value of the item, it lets us go ahead and modify it. We can go ahead and change that drink from a medium to a large if they decide they need it. Anything that would go the other way requires a manager's approval. So the manager would come back and say, yep, and that way the manager can make sure that they were only given the small drink or the smaller fries or the different side. Support for inside speed of service metrics means that from now on, for the quick service people, you're going to have opportunities to put indicators all over the place. They can see the total time for the check, the total time since it was paid, total time since it was opened, just allowing you to enhance metrics for knowing. The speed of service and the speed from the time somebody starts an order to the time that they are closed out is an important metric for quick service environments. That's oftentimes how front of the house staff are incentivized to be as efficient as possible. Implementing automatic detection of credit card types. This means instead of your staff having to look at a credit card and try to decide is this a Visa or a MasterCard, especially with certain ones that are more difficult to see, especially with them being redesigned entirely for EMV. This allows you to just use a credit card swipe button, and the credit card button, when you press it, will go ahead and figure out what card it is by reading the number and then automatically submit it. You won't have to take the time to look. So it does speed up it and the speed both for your staff. Also, if you happen to be using an environment where you have a customer-facing display, this means the customer doesn't have to enter in that information. It's just swipe your card, please. Configuring a quick combo to not report as a discount. In the past, this was important too for the same example with, like, say, a dozen donuts. Once it detects there's a dozen in, it reprices them as a dozen donuts. Well, that's not actually a discount. That's just your price for a dozen donuts. So it will be reflected now the way it airs on the check, as opposed to showing a discount. It will show that as just the price of a dozen donuts. Supporting performance measures to track your upsized quick combo sales. Again, important metrics for quick service customers for seeing the value of the increased sales and promotions for driving incremental sales with their staff. Supporting packet quantity modifiers. This means that we can add our modifiers to our items. For instance, now, if I ring in 3 salads, I can go ahead and then at the end say, and what dressings would you like for those? And go ahead and type in 3 ranch dressing. I don't have to keep it going, okay, ranch, and then new salad, ranch, new salad, ranch. Just speeding up service. Supporting on-check countdowns. So this is if we were to go back to my donuts again. This means if we go ahead and ringing in that dozen donuts, it can show us right on the screen how many remaining choices they have as we're ringing things things in. So 3 more, 4 more. And this comes up again as we talk about modifiers in a little bit. Adjusting a smart item instead of adding it. So for instance, if I'm using sized modifiers in a quick service environment, like I choose the size of my drink and then the flavor of my drink, I can go ahead and ring in a medium Coke, and then without having to delete it and re-ring it back in, I can change that medium Coke to a medium Sprite. Automatically substituting an included modifier for an item in a modifier group. So this is, for instance, if an item is included, we can now configure it to let you swap that modifier out again. Cheeseburger would be a good example for this. If I had a cheeseburger that comes with American cheese and I want to go ahead and make that Swiss, if I configure it correctly for this, we can go ahead and allow the system to automatically unselect American cheese when I press the Swiss button. Again, it's all about speeding up the customer turnover. In the table service environment, our changes are a little more straightforward. So I'm going to go through those real quick, and then we will wrap up before I hand this off to Cameron with just a reminder. So if you see any of these functions in here, the table service changes, the quick service changes, or if there's just been any additional changes that you've been looking forward to or waiting to come to your Aloha system, reach out to us. We can help you configure these and set these up based on your environment. Most of these are not something that are not something necessarily you would want to tackle turning on and configuring properly on your own, but we just want you to know that those options are there so that you can work with us to get your system working the way you want it to, or to help speed up your staff's performance. So with that in mind, my table service ones before Cameron, we can now support multiple gratuities. So if there are multiple gratuities that you would like to have available, this seems to be a common request, splitting up instead of an 18% gratuity at 15 and a 3%. Because you want to distribute them differently with your staff, you can now apply those separately and then take a look at them. We can also verify liquor certifications at clock-in, so hugely important in areas where bartenders are required to have TIPS liquor safety training for over-serving purposes. We can support family-style concepts, so that would be, for instance, where a group would come in, sit down, and want to be served with bowls of scrambled eggs and bowls of hash browns, and they will dish them out and do them themselves. Now we have the ability to order those and also to attach screens and notes to the kitchen saying, hey, I want to reorder eggs, but I'm going to allow the typewriter so we can type in that I only need a little bit of those eggs, not the full bowl again. Support custom modifier panels. This is a huge one. Supporting custom modifier panels in a table service environment means that those same kind of choices that we can make in quick service are now supported in table service, so I can choose the size of something, and then I can choose my flavor. This is most commonly used for bars, so that we can choose a glass, a pint, a pitcher, maybe a crowler, and then maybe a growler, and then we can go ahead and choose our flavor. So I can choose pint, Bud Light, and behind the scenes, Aloha will take care of ordering the correct item for you so that it gets onto the kitchen or the bartender to be made correctly. This also gets used in a few other environments for custom modifiers. So if you have something that's a complicated area of your menu, this is where we would go ahead and implement it. Display minimum required modifier countdown on a modifier group button. And that sounds more confusing than it is. This is when I'm talking about 50 wings and we need you to count down applying those sauces. As you're selecting them, it says you have 10 more wings that you have to choose which sauce type they will have. So it's kind of the same related to the countdown I was saying with the remaining donuts in a dozen, but now we're using it to count down things that have a required modifier. How many more of those required choices do I have to make? And we've added the typewriter button to refill modifiers. Refills are a minimally used feature in Aloha that allows you to actually reorder something that has already been sent to the kitchen's modifier. So for instance, if I had all-you-can-eat fish, I can have an all-you-can-eat fish button and choose grilled or fried. And then in a refill situation, I'm allowed to go back and choose grilled and grilled and fried again for that same item and send it to the kitchen, even though it's already been ordered. This would allow me to go ahead and add typewriter instructions to that as well. So if there was something like they wanted it extra crispy or lightly seasoned when it was cooked, we can still go ahead and attach that to the refills for the same table as well. So with that, I will hand it off to Cameron here, so he can cover through some things for you about holidays and gift cards and Aloha stored value. and then he will take over the presentation from there. But if you have any further questions or you need any help configuring things in our system, please reach out to us here in the office, and we'd be happy to take a look at what features are available now for you to enhance your operations. And as Aloha continues to grow and add new features, there's always things coming up the pipe to help you with your operations. So please keep in touch with us, and we'll be happy to help. Cameron, you ready?
Yes, sir. All right, I'll start sharing my screen, and then let me know when you can see it. All right, I believe it should be up now. Can you see it?
We can see it.
Okay, cool. So as Bill was saying, what I'll be doing is I'll be going over gift cards. Gift cards are a system that we have that it's called Aloha Stored Value. They integrate directly in with your Aloha point of sale, and it's something that's very important to get set up with soon if you don't have already, because we're about to be going into gift card season, just as Bill was saying. So with that, what is stored value? So stored value, again, it's our gift card program. It integrates directly with your point of sale, makes it to where you'd be able to swipe your card on the point of sale so that you could sell cards, redeem cards, you could check their balance, and you could reload a balance. So for gift cards, there are actually around 313, so in 2015, there was around $313 billion in gift cards that were sold, or at least loaded on in the market. 72% of customers will spend more than the value of their card. So, and then those people that do actually come in and use the cards in the restaurant, 20% will spend, they will spend usually 20% more than what the gift card has value. There's also an 18% breakage. So whenever you're selling these gift cards, if you were to sell $100 in gift cards, there's about an 18% breakage. And depending on your state, you'd have to speak with an accountant or a lawyer to find out if you're able to take from that. But usually, out of every $100 that's spent, about 18% of those, $18 of that is not actually end up being used. And then finally, there's also 83% of corporations use gift cards and prepaid cards for employee incentives. So if you're not doing anything already for your employees, you can always provide gift cards to your employees that they're able to come back in and use. You can provide those as promotions to try to get new businesses that are around your area to come into your restaurant. But it's a great way of being able to actually reach out to the community. Also, with how Christmas is coming up soon, Hanukkah, there's the holiday season will have a lot of gift cards that are actually sold. I usually see people say they get about 3 times as many gift card sales between October, November, and December as they do for the rest of the year. And so that could be a lot of money coming in for you. And then with stored value, so with the gift card program, it also has different reports that are available for you. So we have gift card liability reports. You have the ability to see sales, reconciliation, redemption. So if you have multiple stores, you can actually have it to where you can see between each store. You can see all of your stores. But there are several different reports that are available. There's over 40 for you. And gift cards, if you do have any questions about it, you can feel free to reach out to Bill or I. We'd be happy to help you out with that. But going into this now, what I'll do is, or actually, I'll hand the ball over to Angela. Angela is with Card Marketing Services, and she's here today to be able to explain being able to sell gift cards online. So we do have the ability to use these gift cards where it'd be able to automatically update your gift card liabilities as sold. But I won't go into too much detail so that way Angela can go over that. Angela, are you ready for this?
I am. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, ma'am. All right, I'll pass the ball over to you.
Okay. Tell me when you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay. Well, thank you for allowing me to talk with everyone today. Again, I am Angela Vada. I'm with Card Marketing Services. We are the company that does the plastic gift cards for you to sell in your restaurant, and now we have an option where we can sell gift cards, help you sell gift cards on your website. So I'm going to go through how we do that. We will actually create a shopping cart that has the look and feel of your current website. So we will go in and take the header and the footer and everything that we need so that once you put a gift card link on your homepage and it clicks on it, it will go to pages we're hosting. But unless they look up in the URL and see that they are not actually on your site anymore, they'll actually just see one little thing that changes. No one should know that they've left your site because the menu items and all the headers and footers are going to go back to your current site. With that shopping cart, we're able to connect to Aloha via their API to load the gift cards, which will show up in your Aloha enterprise. We also use Authorized.net. That is the internet credit card gateway that you need to sell anything online. So we'll work with you to set that up as well. And then we will do the fulfillment as well. So we keep some of your cards and custom carriers here, and when that order is placed, we will load that card, put the messaging on the carrier, and we'll mail those out. And then we also have an option if the customer chooses, they can send an e-gift, which is just an email that goes to the recipient, and they click on that and get a PDF that has that gift card. Here is just showing you the landing page. So this is what it looks like when they come to your page. They'll be able to choose purchase a gift card. They'll be able to check their gift card balances. It will check a balance for a card that is sold online. It will also check a balance that is sold in your store locations. So it will check any of your gift card balance, for any gift cards that you sell. And then there's also a check order status. The check order status, they will be given after they buy a card. They'll be given a confirmation number. They will put that in there. It will tell them when it was shipped. If they chose an expedited shipping, it will also give them the tracking number then. This is the screen where they'll pick, I want a physical card or an e-gift. Basically, they'll toggle between the two, and it'll give you different information. On this one, if they chose physical card, it's going to give them the to from and the message, and then it's going to have a shipping address. If they choose the e-gifts portion of it, it's still going to give them the messages that they can customize, but then it's also going to give them a place to put the email for the person that they're going to send that to. This is a page where they're going to put in the shipping information, and they're going to be able to choose United States First Class, USPS First Class, or else second day air or next day air. Then it's going to give them a checkout page. In this particular example, you'll see where they actually bought two $25 cards. They're going to email one of them, and then they're going to mail one of them. And you'll see where it says ship to, and it just says someone right now. When they put in their shipping address, they could have named it, so they could have had a work one or a home one. They can select whichever one they want to ship that to, and it does have an edit address button, so they could also change that as well. And then if that's good, it'll go ahead and they can go ahead and check out. And then they'll get a payment page. So the payment page is going to show them, their shipping information. If they mouse over that shipping information, it will tell them what details that they put in there, such as to Cameron from Angela, $50, happy birthday. It will show them what they printed and what is going to print on the gift card or the e-gift. And then they'll put in their card number, the CVV code, and the expiration date. Once they do that, it's going to reach out, as I mentioned, to Authorized.net. They're the ones that are going to say, yes, that credit card number matches that address and the verification date and the expiration date. And once it's finalized, it comes to us. We'll go ahead and mail that out, and then that money is deposited into whatever bank you have set up with Authorized.net. And then this is what, if somebody chose to do an e-gift, they're actually going to get an email. You can see on the left side you have a Cowboy Chicken e-gift from whomever, and then it's going to say claim e-gift. When they click on that, you're going to get the PDF that's on the right. It's going to have a barcode and a QR code. You can choose if you do have barcode readers. Most of you that aren't quick serve aren't going to have that, but if you choose to have if you have a barcode reader and click on that, it's going to give you the card number. Otherwise, when they download the e-gift and for these purposes, we don't have one that's activated because it'll activate a live card, but it'll actually show you the 14-digit Aloha number. And what your server will have to do is either look at their phone, or if somebody printed this PDF off, they would take that 14-digit number, enter it into Aloha, just as if they had a magstripe card that didn't work, and they had to hand enter that human-readable number. And it will work, again, just exactly like your plastic gift cards. And then there is reporting through authorized.net. You can see a sample report here. It will show you who bought a card, when they bought it. You can go in, and if somebody needed you to refund a card, their credit card, you could do that here. And then we also provide a portal where you could log in and see all of your gift card orders, who they sent it to, whether it was mailed or emailed, and so you can run different reports for various months or weeks or a day and see what had been sold through our portal, again, and authorized.net. And again, it is the Aloha API that we are connecting to. So when we do sell a card and we load that card, it is going to go into a store that you have set up in your Aloha enterprise that will show all those gift cards. You'll be able to go in and see all the different gift cards that are sold online through that store number. Say you set up store 99, you'll be able to go in and see all of those that are set up, what money is on them. You won't see that, you took in $53.95 because you had a $50 gift card and you charged them $3.95 to mail it, but you will see that it was a $50 card because none of the money is actually running through the point of sale system. It's going through authorized.net. And then, as I mentioned with the fulfillment, we will take that card, run the carrier through a printer so that it prints the messaging. We will put that in an envelope that's addressed to the person that it's going to, load that card, and mail it out. So we do everything from A to Z to get those cards to your customers. And that is it.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll turn it back over to Cameron.
And I'll actually turn it back over to Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
No, with that, as always, if you have any questions or you want additional information, reach out to us here at the office, and then we'll put you in touch with the appropriate person to get you all the information or anything else you need, or we'll help you with a direct if we can. Thank you very much, Cameron. Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everyone.